You're watching this video because you want to know how expensive it is to live in Berkeley, California. Stay tuned and we'll cover the cost. I'm Katie. I'm an agent and realtor in the East Bay and the Bay Area. If you want more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you can be notified when new videos come out. Outside of being a university town, Berkeley is known for its political activism, its more highly rated schools, and for its environmental and food culture. In this video, we're going to cover the cost of housing, utilities, taxes, transportation, entertainment, and food. So let's start with housing prices. If you're going to buy a house in Berkeley, the median housing price in the past 6 months for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home was $1.5 million. For a 2-bedroom, 1-bath or 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes in Berkeley, under 1,500 square feet, the median price was $1.1 million. So even buying a starter home in Berkeley means you're going to spend likely above $1 million. If you're renting in Berkeley, if you want a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, single-family home, it'll cost you around $2,800 per month in rent. If you want anything larger than that, a 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath, it'll cost you upwards of $4 grand. Utilities are PG&E, which is gas and electric, water, sewer, which is East Bay mud, and then there's waste management and the recycling center in Berkeley. For gas and electric, it depends on how large your home is and how many energy upgrades you've made to your home. When you sell a home in Berkeley, there will be what they call a BESO report, which basically gives an environmental assessment and energy efficiency assessment of your home. Regardless, you can spend up to $120 per month on gas and electric alone for smaller homes. In the wintertime, you can spend up to $400 per month, depending on what kind of heating systems you have in your home. Again, not many people run air conditioning or have air conditioning in the Bay Area. The Ecology Center recycling, those costs are built into your tax bill, and waste management will cost you roughly $30 for a single 20-gallon container. If you want a compost container, it'll be about $30 for a 32-gallon container. For water and sewage, your bi-monthly water and sewage cap is $185 for a single-family home. So you're spending roughly $100 per month on water and sewage. When it comes to your property taxes on your home, there is a general assessment fee, which is about 1.2184%. Supplemental taxes, depending on what part of Berkeley you live in, could be up to 33% of your base tax bill. You may also be in a Mello-Roos or special assessment district where there can be additional taxes. When you purchase a home, it's also important to know that part of your closing costs will be the city transfer taxes. Whether you're selling or buying, it's conventional to split the city transfer taxes. And those taxes in Berkeley, just like in Oakland, are very high. If your home is assessed below $1.5 million, it will cost the buyer and the seller $15 for every $1,000. If your home is $1 above $1.5 million, then you will pay $25 for every $1,000 in closing costs. One of the great things about living in Berkeley is that you have many choices for grocery stores. There's Trader Joe's, there's Berkeley Bold, there's Whole Foods, there's some natural grocery stores, and there are quite a few farmers markets. Of the choices I listed, Trader Joe's tends to be more economical, but Berkeley Bowl always has great deals on produce. And Whole Foods tends to be more expensive. If you want to eat out, there are pricier restaurants in the gourmet ghetto. Eating out for a dinner of two at these more expensive places could be anywhere from $80 to $200. But there are other choices along University Avenue where UC Berkeley students are. There's definitely a high concentration of restaurants and bars there. Tuk Tuk Thai is one of my favorites. There's Thai Temple, which is on the weekends. Unfortunately, that's not happening right now. You actually pay for your food in tokens. Brazil Cafe is another hotspot. Stonehenge is a good place for brunch. All of these places you can have dinner, brunch, breakfast, under $50 for two. Now let's talk about transportation costs. First, let's start with the BART system. There are 3 BARTs in Berkeley: Downtown Berkeley BART, Ashby BART, and North Berkeley BART. Without a Clipper card, taking the Ashby BART to downtown San Francisco would cost you about $9 to $10 each day. If you want to visit your friends in the South Bay, the furthest the BART will take you is to Warm Springs, South Fremont, and that's about $12 per round trip. If you decide to drive, you've got to take into consideration some additional costs. Registration is very costly in California. If you park on the street in a neighborhood that's zoned for 2-hour parking, you have to get a special parking sticker, which can cost you anywhere from $75 to $100 a year. Gas in California and the Bay Area is pretty expensive. Bay Area is a little bit cheaper than LA. For premium gas here, mid-grade, it'll cost you about $3.39 a gallon. And this is July 2020. In addition, there are bridge tolls. Crossing the East Bay Bridge to get to San Francisco will cost you about $6 to $7 on a weekday. And parking in general and other parts of Berkeley that are more dense is expensive. Some of the garages in downtown Berkeley cost you about $200 to $250 per month. For entertainment, you have many choices. For example, for live music, there's the Greek Theater, which is on the UC Berkeley campus. Depending on the artist, concert tickets can cost you anywhere from $60 to $200. Freight and Salvage is a nonprofit music center, and they also offer classes. Their minimum ticket value is about $12. There's La Peña Cultural Center, which has free classes, events. In downtown Berkeley, there's the Berkeley Art Museum and Pacific Film Archive, the $12 to $14 admission. And there are a ton of parks. There's Tilden, Grizzly Peak, and Indian Rock Park. Berkeley also has a ton of free festivals throughout the year. There's a Berkeley Book Club, the Berkeley World Music Festival, the Berkeley Kite Festival. If you go to the gym and you only want to attend a gym in Berkeley, there are several CrossFit gyms, which range from $125 to $200 per month for unlimited classes. More economical options include Berkeley Ironworks, which is a rock climbing gym. It will cost you $87 per month. Orange Theory Fitness is another place you can go for more cheaply than the CrossFit gym if you want equipment and classes. So let's look at our total monthly cost for living in Berkeley, California. And I'm assuming you've purchased a house for $1.2 million at current interest rates, which are historically low, and that you put 20% down. If that's the case, you can still see that housing costs comprise almost 80% of your total cost. I've also assumed you're buying for two at $150 per week for groceries, and that you're only riding your bicycle or taking public transportation if you're working in San Francisco. Parking is something I didn't talk about. At Ashby Park, the cost per day is $3. Utilities, I totaled the monthly cost for average cost for East Bay Mud, PG&E, and trash. And then assuming you can go dining, I assumed you go with the more economical options and purchased a concert ticket every month. I didn't talk about healthcare premiums, but they are more expensive in Alameda County than they are in other counties. So I assumed about $460 per month for healthcare coverage for a single person. Now let's compare the cost to other cities like San Francisco. Berkeley is roughly 12.7% less expensive than San Francisco, and of course, housing contributes to this difference. Healthcare is slightly more expensive in the East Bay and Berkeley, but utilities and food and groceries are slightly less than they are in San Francisco. Now let's compare to Oakland, California. Berkeley is roughly 35% more expensive than Oakland, and again, what contributes most to this factor is home cost. Utilities are slightly more expensive. Transportation is supposedly a little bit less in Berkeley than it is in Oakland. I'm going to show you a map now of Berkeley and talk about a few neighborhoods and their different price points. This data was taken from the last 6 months, and it includes 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and above, all square footage. So first, let's take a look at the South Berkeley-Oakland border. And you can see in South Berkeley, there are some homes that went for under $1 million, but they tend to be fixers. Some are just smaller 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Other homes completely renovated or larger, definitely exceed a price point of $1 million. We go to Claremont and the Claremont Hills, Hiller Highlands. You can see some of the homes, which tend to be larger and have views, go for over $2 million. Some of these are new construction, which explains the price point. There's very little inventory or turnover in those areas. If I zoom into Central Berkeley, downtown Berkeley, Elmwood, you can see price points range between 1.2 and 1.9. Going up to North Berkeley, there are some properties that sold under $1 million. They tend to be much smaller. This property, for example, is only 632 square feet and it's sold for $876,000. So you definitely pay a lower price per square foot for these larger homes. As they go into the hills, Liloma Park, Craigmont, Berkeley Hills in general, you can see that prices range from $865, which was a fixer, up to $2.3, $2.4 million. And then as I approach the Albany border with Berkeley, there's a range of prices. $2.6 million, one home sold for $3 million. As we look in the Berkeley Hills on the Kensington-Berkeley border, you can see that prices range from $1.2 to $1.6 million. And then in Northwest Berkeley, there are a couple properties that sold for under $1 million. Either their condition or their size contribute to their lower price points. You can see this one, for example, it was a 3 1.5 and it sold for $1.225.
So there are a few deals that are fixers. This one, for example, is a bank-owned property. This one also looks like a fixer, but you tend to find them on the Oakland-Berkeley border. Again, the median price point for all homes in Berkeley the last 6 months was $1.36 million, according to this data.
All right, so that pretty much covers the cost of living in Berkeley in July and August 2020. I didn't cover private schools, but I have many other videos like this coming out weekly. So hit the subscribe button below if you want more videos like this one. And if you are moving to the East Bay and you have any questions, whether you're renting or buying, feel free to reach out. My contact information is below.